Hello, hello! Bl'Artagnan here, with Crimson Arms Lufenia, the Bartz Heretic. I have my shiny new Bartz BT, although I actually won't end up using it during the course of this run, as much as it pains me. You'll see why. I'm also bringing Ultimecia and Celes, which is a bit of a weird choice, given that these guys are weak to melee, weak to range, and neutral to magic, as well as being immune to elemental imperils, so Celes can't do her normal ice enchant business. But don't worry, we have plans for that. It's kind of a relief, honestly, after the past few fights to see, of all things, the Ciaran Bears coming back as a relatively doable and tame Lufenia. I say that knowing that you basically need Bartz+Fujin to get through it, from what I can see. Someone's going to prove me wrong with like a Maria clear or something, I know, but like in general practice, you kind of need some combination of those two units somewhere in calls or whatever. But I wanted to try something a little bit experimental. Those of you who've been following my channel for a while might know that I really kind of enjoy doing weird science and trying to see what goofiness I can pull off with the stage. We haven't had many opportunities to do that with the stages we've had lately, but this one I think there's going to be some prime chance to play around a little bit. So for now, I'm just trying to conserve Ultimecia. I'm doing the kind of spamming HP pluses until their EX is charged kind of business. Celes' trap, I think, has one turn left on it. We're just trying to get these guys down to the 80% mark as fast as we can. So this fight is actually, for those who don't know, is an easier version of the Ciaran Lost Chapter fight. I say easier for two reasons. One, it doesn't have the 3 tiger wave at the beginning, which was atrocious. And two, it actually has less mechanics. It does have some differences, like it has imperil immunity, or elemental imperil, I should say. Meaning Bartz's new wind imperil aura is all the more valuable. But they, this brave gain into a brave resist thing they do at the 80% and other marks is a lot easier to deal with because you don't need to let them take a turn. They lose that resistance as soon as you break them, which is fantastic. Speaking of, here we go. Go ahead. Brave attack with Ultimecia, so no sense really wasting that. We're going to go ahead and use Bartz's new LD to break them both. Happily getting them both under the 80% threshold as well, because they cleanse. The second one will cleanse it, once it goes under 80%, even though it already cleansed for the first time, which is kind of a pain. So we're actually bringing the Fujin Call here, because it turns out most of Celes' skills are not ice. This is actually something I found out a while back during the Aranea event, when the bosses were absorbing ice, but it turns out if you enchanted Celes and made them weak to the element, thunder in this case is what I did back then, but now we're doing wind, she basically functions as a wind attacker, which is kind of hilarious. So we're going to be using that to get some primo damage. It's funny, I know originally we're using Paladin Cecil Call there to make sure Celes doesn't die. I think these guys are queued up to do a brave attack with their AI, but I don't want to take that chance. Oh yeah, it's Wild Breath, okay. But yeah, it's funny to me, the general advice people were giving around the time Fujin came out was don't pull for Fujin to pair him with Bartz specifically, because it is a good combo, but you don't need it. You can get by without it. There aren't many fights where I think it's going to be absolutely essential. That said, if you do happen to have Fujin, it's some good synergy there. It basically turns Bartz into an enchant imperiler who can't be resisted, which is nice. Or at least can't be... I guess they could be resisted if they absorb wind, but you know what I mean. So... We have Celes now enchanted with wind, Bartz imperiling with his aura. So now Ultimecia can start playing a little bit more aggressively. She can start, using her EX more aggressively. The game plan here basically is, we're going to eventually swap our Bartz out for the friend Bartz so that we can take advantage of that Bartz BT while Ultimecia is using her BT. That's kind of the dream state. Getting to that point's gonna be a little bit of a hike. For those who don't play Ultimecia often, okay, there we go, another threshold. Gonna go ahead and LD to deal with that. The rotation with Ultimecia you generally want to use to make her last is EX. That gives her 2 free turns. During those, you want to start with a skill 2, and then use generally a skill 1 or refresh with the LD on the second one. Don't HP attack during either of those because that won't charge your EX. Afterwards, if you're trying to kind of extend for longevity, you can start spamming EXs to kind of finish it the rest of the way, or you could just use a single skill to recharge the EX if you're okay with burning her out. I feel like it's important every time I use her to repeat that because Ultimecia's biggest issue these days is longevity on account of her being a pretty old unit. I think she got her LD before I had even come back to the game, so I can't tell you much about that. And her boards gave her a bit more, but not so much that it brought her up to frontline killing things from months on end standards. I say as I use her many months after she gets her board, so maybe I should shut up about that. So we're nearing that 4th threshold. This is a kind of annoying one because normally we have to deal with 3 thresholds. The 4th one is just a cleanse, which is great because it doesn't do that you have to break me thing. But we aren't really used to dealing with 4 thresholds. I find it's just it's an extra layer of oops, hold on, we have to pause and reset, which is it's a pain, but we'll deal. So we got we have now brought in the Bartz buddy with his BT. The thing about Bartz BT that I think it's important to note is that you'll see next to the 8. I don't know if you can see it at this speed, but you see a little dash, a thin little line, and every time he acts, that's going to go up by 1. And basically, you get more effects the more it goes up. And once you're at 3, that's when it's maxed out, and that's when you get the HP damage up. That's when you really can kind of go into it. That's a slightly different way to use a friend unit than I think a lot of us are used to. Because another thing about Bartz is at least this one, I don't know he doesn't start with his skills mastered, and he gets bonus auras once the skills are mastered. So I actually found, at least in this run, you'll see what I end up doing is using his next 2 actions to master his 2 skills to get those additional auras. I also make the somewhat questionable play of summoning while inside or EXing with Ultimecia while inside the summon. Technically, this isn't very turn efficient because she would have gotten 2 free skills from her EX anyway, but I figured I wanted to take advantage of Bartz being on the field as long as I could, not to mention take advantage of that Celes wind enchant, thanks to the Fujin LD. I ended up going back to the Fujin banner after pulling Bartz's burst, and I know you don't need the Fujin with Bartz to get through content, but since Bartz is a favorite, I figured, if I could trick him out with a super sweet call that makes him an enchanter even more, why not? It cost more tickets than I'd like to admit, but I got Golbez's burst along the way, so I'll take it. Anywho, enough about my Gachapon fortunes. So right now I'm still trying to pace Ultimecia because I'm not quite ready to go crazy. Well, actually, I wasn't quite ready to go crazy. Now that Bartz has mastered both of his skills and has gotten level 3 of his burst, it's time for Ultimecia to go into hers. We use the Camelot. Well, no, first we use the EX. What am I talking about? Jesus. Getting ahead of myself, anticipating. Now we're going to go ahead and... Okay, I remember now. I was... the music transition tripped me up. I thought the burst was coming sooner, but what actually is happening here is we need to deal with this last threshold, this last, whatchamacallit threshold. And so before we go into the burst with Ultimecia, we're going to go ahead and cleave that down with Bartz LD. He's ready to go. You know, he's got his, his BT stacked. Celes is going to go ahead and use her LD. I was just checking to make sure it did extend her stacking Great Magic Absorb buff, which it does. She has 1 turn left on the Fujin Call, you see, so Ultimecia is still hitting that weakness damage from wind. We're all set up, and now we go into the burst. Nailed it, definitely didn't need to. So, the rotation for Ultimecia, if you don't know, is you EX, then free skill 2, then skill 2 again, then use the LD to get back a use of skill 2 so you can skill 2 a final time. You can also skill 2 LD, then EX, and then free skill 2. You can do it that way too. They both work. But basically the important thing is you try to maximize how many skill 2s you can get out of that. That's Hell's Judgment. You know, 100% AoE. That's basically what she's here for. And you'll see there, the EX was charged. I didn't use it. The reason was that I already had the 2 free skills from her EX used in the burst, and I didn't want to waste those. I actually made the stupid move of using 2 of her skills while the EX was charged, though. I definitely could have just HP attacked for both of those. They still would have deleted 2 turns because it would have been an AoE attack, and I wouldn't have wasted skills that could have been used to charge my EX later. You're going to see it's going to get a little touchy in terms of the pacing because of that mistake. The trick with Ultimecia, who always tends to be the focus of video, whenever I use her, I spend the entire video talking about how to use her. Hope it's helpful for you guys and not just redundant. But the trick, yeah, is basically pacing her so that you can get the most out of her EX charge, and that means, you know, not running out of skills. So, now my Bartz is back. We are out of the wind enchant. So we're just going to have to hope that we have enough gas in the tank to kill these guys before they catch up to us. And I think we're going to do just fine there. We got one last use of the AA to refill our Brave. We got the free Hell's Judgment. I was just checking the HP requirement there. Not that I needed. It's very low, actually, for this stage. Definitely pay attention to that 5,000 HP that you need to be, can't be under. There we go. Using my very last Ultimecia skill so that I can get that EX charge in hopes of charging it up again. And here, realizing I kept the Paladin Cecil boost in the back just because that HP requirement is spooky, and these guys do HP poison, which is a bad combination. But luckily, you know, nothing that can't be dealt with using a bit of HP overflow. Yeah, now it looks like we're basically there. Go ahead and Yainuki. Gonna go ahead now and use the Celes EX on B instead of A, because since it double dumps, it'll do more damage, and I don't know exactly how much we're gonna need to kill B. So we need 24 to kill that one. So we'll go ahead and kill that one, knowing that Bartz can probably close it out here. And there we go. That is Bartz Heretic Lufenia cleared with 2 magic users, which is kind of cool. This was actually a very fun stage. I'm going to try to come back and do it with a few teams. I'm really enjoying both the stage and Bartz. I hope you did too. So yeah, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Consider liking and the video if you enjoyed it. It helps me out, makes it more visible for people, and just, you know, seeing the numbers goes up kind of helps boost the old ego. And subscribe if you haven't already, because I'd love to continue showing you these things. Anyway, again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Adios.